The XRP supply shock meme isn't so much of a meme anymore, folks. We have the announcement coming out today on top of the acquisition that Ripple just made yesterday. Now we find out today that Ripple has plans to hoard another $1 billion worth of XRP. That's right, folks. We're going to get right on into the update. It is Friday. Hope you are doing well. And folks ain't going to be laughing about that XRP supply shock meme anymore when they find out that it's actually becoming a reality right in front of our faces. Now, real quick, don't get too ahead of yourself because we just had big liquidations hitting the market. Maybe too many people are starting to watch this insider whale. This is the guy who shorted, guy or gal, we don't know who it is, that shorted right before Trump announced the 100% tariffs, made a bunch of money shorting. And now he has just flipped long on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. But hopefully too many people didn't get ahead of themselves. Apparently a few did, with $1.2 billion of liquidations over the past 24 hours. So the $19 billion of liquidations on Friday wasn't enough. We didn't learn our lesson. And my mom, she had to tell me a few times for it to get through my head a couple times when I was growing up as well too. And it reminds me of the crypto space. We have to do this to ourselves time after time again. And so I say that as I'm in an XRP long right now. I told you guys I got my order that was sitting at 225. That was filled last night. As we wake up and we see that XRP dropped down to that 219 price, I scooped up at 225 on the way back down, and now we're back up to 229 just like that. And I had said that we have an order block at 220. If they push this thing down, that's the next level that we're going to. I'm not going to get too greedy and try to tick the absolute bottom, trying to get it right at 220, right? So I just front run at 225 and I sleep like a baby while the order gets filled, wake up and hey, added to the XRP long. And the reason why is because the fundamentals have not changed for XRP despite the liquidation event, despite all the fear out there. In fact, all of the fear and FUD that I see out there makes me more bullish on XRP. And if I wasn't bullish enough on that, well, let's just see what Ripple's up to, right? Yesterday, Ripple is breaking into the $120 trillion corporate treasury payments market with the $1 billion acquisition of GTreasury. Brad Garnhouse says the past few years have reminded this industry why payments, first and foremost, is the primary use case for crypto and blockchain. I've always said it's the $1 trillion problems that turn me on when it comes to crypto, baby. Let's go. Payments are where Ripple first started for exactly these reasons. The infrastructure is complex, siloed, and inefficient, but as we know, perfectly positioned to benefit from decentralized financial technologies. Astounding amounts of cash are trapped in outdated payment systems, creating friction, unnecessary costs, and barriers to entry for new markets. GTreasury has been serving some of the most well-known brands for decades, and now together with Ripple, we'll be able to help CFOs manage all of their assets, including stablecoins, tokenized deposits, etc. at scale around the world, as well as put their idle capital to work with repo markets via Hidden Road. The opportunity is here, and we are diving right in. It is happening. You slide on over to the website for GTreasury, and you see they're connected to more banks than Swift. So last night's live show, I said that this was a leapfrog over Swift. We're not just replacing Swift. This is bigger than Swift. And I've been saying this ever since the Swift news came out, that they were playing in their little sandbox, right? They got their little Tonka truck. They got their little scooper, just like my kids playing out there in the backyard. That's what Swift is doing. Meanwhile, Ripple making an acquisition here that onboards 13,000 connected banks, 100% cash visibility, and 12.5 trillion in payments volume. Now remember, this is on top of the $1.25 billion acquisition of Hidden Road. Hidden Road settles up 3 trillion per year. GTreasury, 12.5 trillion. That's trillion with a T, just so we're clear. So, if I check my math, we're talking over 15 trillion of payments and flows of liquidity just between these two acquisitions. And can anybody comment and let me know, is there anybody else in the crypto space that is making multiple billion-dollar acquisitions at this stage in the crypto market in this cycle? I can tell you right now, the answer is no. I'll save you from the research. Nobody is making acquisitions like this. Now, GTreasury, I'll be breaking this down further in another video. I wanted to show you right here, Danny Dark, he posted this. You got Palantir also using GTreasury. A long list of partners there at GTreasury. I'm going to go real quick here because I wanted to show you too. If I go to their trusted partners page, what you see right here is, of course, they're actually connected. They are part of the SWIFT Certified Partner Program, proud to offer global bank connectivity and hosting options for SWIFT's Alliance Lite 2 platform. We have also partnered to offer SWIFT ref data for IBAN and ABA lookups directly from within GTreasury's workflow. So they're leapfrogging SWIFT, but they're also tapped in with SWIFT and also serving JP Morgan. And you can go through the list yourself. It is incredible who GTreasury is already working with. I'm telling you right now, the veil is about to be lifted here at this November 4th and 5th Swell Conference in New York City. And people are going to realize, oh crap, this wasn't just a meme. This wasn't just speculation. This wasn't just crazy conspiracy theories from the XRP community. These crazy wackos were actually onto something. And so let's take a look here. This is from Bloomberg. Ripple Labs said to lead $1 billion fundraise for XRP Hoard. No, this is separate from the GTreasury acquisition. That was yesterday. I mean, these announcements from Ripple are just hitting people so fast, they can't even digest the news. And Ripple's dropping another $1 billion acquisition, folks. Come on. $1 billion fundraise for XRP Hoard. Ripple Labs is leading an effort to raise at least $1 billion to acquire and accumulate more XRP. The funds are to be housed inside of a new digital asset treasury, or DAT, according to people familiar with the matter. Now, what's my checklist on cryptos that I want to invest in? Are ETFs going live? Are digital asset treasury companies putting it on their balance sheet? And are you getting broader institutional adoption? We already had a dozen digital asset treasury companies saying that they were going to hoard and acquire some XRP. And now we have Ripple saying, yeah, our stash of XRP, we want to push this thing a little bit further. And so we're going to do a SPAC deal, special purpose acquisition company, to raise another $1 billion to hoard a little bit more XRP. Now, people that were familiar with this, once again, special purpose acquisition company known as a SPAC, none of whom were authorized to speak publicly, right? Those NDAs, right? These deals getting done behind the scenes. And like I said, that veil is going to be lifted at the November 4th and 5th Swell Conference in New York City. Okay. Ripple does say that they will contribute some of its XRP as well, right? Now, what else did I want to show you guys here? Yep, digital asset treasuries. Yep. Now they know, right, that they just acquired GTreasury for $1 billion yesterday, right? And they go on to say that XRP hasn't drawn the same levels of interest from DAT investors as Bitcoin. One exception is sustainable energy firm Vivo Power, which in May announced $121 million fundraising to pivot to investing in XRP. Now, it's interesting to know, we should comment here, that you see this type of misreporting. It's not, I wouldn't say misinformation, because I don't think that maybe they're just not familiar, right? But this is why you guys come to channels like mine for XRP news and not Bloomberg. And this is why we're getting way more views and we control the market now when it comes to media versus the traditional players in the space, because we actually do our research and specifically dominate XRP content specifically. But here's the truth. It's not just Vivo Power. I wanted to make a point about this. They report, not getting as much DAT activity as Bitcoin, which is true, right? There's over 100 companies that are putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. But there's not just one company in Vivo Power that's putting XRP on their balance sheet. It's a list of, I think, nearly a dozen at this point. With this company now being announced, I think that's got to be at least a dozen, if not more. And this company alone is going to raise $1 billion. When you looked at the other digital asset treasury companies hoarding XRP, altogether they were at about $1 billion. So this one deal that Ripple's pushing forward is going to be equivalent to the other 12 companies that have been adding XRP to their balance sheet. So I will admit, we don't have as many companies and it's not as much investing into XRP for digital asset treasury companies yet. Okay? They say Ripple held 4.74 billion XRP tokens in its crypto wallets, and they also have another 35.9 billion in the escrow. Okay? And so Ripple could easily fund this by just giving their XRP to this company, right? But what does that accomplish? Not much. The point here is to drive supply shock on XRP, get XRP to go to a much higher price to be able to handle these flows of liquidity that we're talking about moving to the XRP ledger, right? And so this announcement on the back of the $1 billion acquisition of GTreasury, following up after the Hidden Road 1.25 billion acquisition, is showing that Ripple is not stopping, slowing down, and there is no fear, uncertainty, or doubt in the offices at Ripple. Now, where do we see FUD? Where do we see crying? We see it in the comments. We see it on X. People are scared. A clickbaiter put out XRP FUD. A TA bro overlaid a fractal of 4 years ago when we weren't in this reality. Why would that be relevant to today when we're about to move trillions on chain? When we're about to get clarity, when we're about to get ETFs, when we're about to get digital asset treasury companies, when Ripple's about to lift the veil at Swell, and the suits are about to have a party, and for crying out loud, I don't want you guys to miss it. I'm not saying you got to sip on champagne with the suits, but goodness gracious, let's have ourselves a good time too. We're going to front run the institutions on that. We've been front running the institutions on precious metals too. And now look at the masses. Crowd storms gold shops to buy gold in Vietnam as price hits record high. Look at the images coming in, folks, from around the world. They are lining up around the block, just like they're going to do for XRP as well. Nobody wanted XRP at 50 cents. Nobody wanted XRP here at $2.20. The blessing that you're getting right now with XRP trading below its fundamental value. XRP should not be below $5. I would suggest it shouldn't even be below $10. And this is why we're going to my base case of $20 to $30, because the inflows that are going to come from digital asset treasury companies on top of the ETFs, on top of the institutional adoption, and the DeFi that we're seeing at the retail level too, where, you know, I've already minted 190 FXRP for Flare, but we've already seen, 30 million XRP locked up for Flare. You're going to have millions, hundreds of millions, and even billions of XRP locked up in DeFi. Ripple, with this special purpose acquisition company, is going to lock up a few hundred million XRP at least. If they do raise the $1 billion at current levels, right, they'd be able to stack a few hundred million just in that one company. And this is all XRP that can't be used for the treasury flows that they just acquired through GTreasury. Can't be used for cross-border payments or any other liquidity because it's locked up in all of these different vehicles, ETFs, digital asset treasuries, DeFi. Joe Blow little guy who wants to party and not get left behind has buried his little stash of XRP in the backyard too. Now, folks, like I've been saying, do not wait for Congress to pass a bill that you can invest your 401k in crypto. Do not wait for the suits to sell you an ETF to get into crypto. Now is the time to take advantage. And speaking of precious metals, you also can invest in precious metals through our sponsor, iTrustCapital. They have gold and silver available for you guys in your IRA. So you can be earning on your precious metals. You can stake your Ethereum. And they just announced yesterday, you're going to be able to earn yield on your Bitcoin as well through iTrustCapital. And I know that they're actually exploring ways to provide yield on XRP as well. You're going to use my promo code Rector9, all caps, Rector9, to claim your $100 funding bonus. But folks, please do not wait around. You do not need to wait for Congress to pass a bill. You can roll over your 401k, 403b, TSP, 457, or other employer plan today. You don't need to wait in line with the hordes and the masses. They're going to try to rush into crypto after we've already printed significant gains once again. Just like we're seeing on precious metals. Nobody wanted gold at $1,500 and $2,000 per ounce. Nobody wanted silver, besides us, at $20 per ounce. Some of you guys got even in cheaper than I did. And so don't wait. Let's move today. You can get full access, iTrustCapital, linked up down below. My promo code's Rector9. I greatly appreciate your support, and we will see you guys in the next one. God bless you all. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.